thanks.
No problem. Vanessa, you're on with Marie.
Hello? Hi, Vanessa?
Yeah, how's it going?
Everything's going really well.
Yeah, where are you now?
I'm in Los Angeles.
Oh, great. Now, I know you were in Jamaica.
Oh, yeah. I was actually, it was very interesting. I ended up having to stay at Hedonism 3.
Oh, that must have been...
Which is only advertised in the Playboy channel.
That's right.
And little did I know that everyone was like, I thought it was maybe like a festival at some nice little resort, like, you know, just crunchy naked people.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't like that.
No, what
It
was...
was just weird naked people. And I was happy to come back home.
It was weird naked people.
Yes.
That's right. I've heard
There's no, I mean, I'm not the type of girl that's against getting on a naked beach
Yeah.
and walking around naked per se, but when you don't know that it's about to happen to you and I mean, I didn't do it, but when, like, you're in a sea of the people that are doing it, you get a little confused.
Yeah, I would be a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, you know.
You know, it's like...
I mean, I'm not a prude, but I am when I'm, like, going on a radio, like, it's all in the name of promoting an album.
Is that what you would do? Was this all in regard to promotion? How did you end up... What was the tie-in?
It was, like, on location in Jamaica.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
I know that now you...
My manager, he kind of talked me into it.
Oh,
Never again.
well, you live and learn.
Exactly.
And just a few years ago, where were you? You know?
I know.
Things have changed.
I'm so far.
Things have changed so drastically. Well, it might make for good song material. I don't know what.
No.
Maybe a funny song, perhaps.
Shriveledness.
Yeah.
The unexpected shriveledness.
People that shouldn't be naked are naked. That's the problem. Well, I want to congratulate you on this album.
Thank you.
And I know that you must be reeling from everything that has been happening to you.
Absolutely.
And Rolling Stone named you one of the top 10 artists to listen to. Billboard had high praises. How do you deal with the pressure to perform at this point? I mean, you have these accolades and just like saying, well, she's great, she's wonderful. How do you feel inside about that?
It's funny because it doesn't affect my performance. I mean, it's nice. It's like, you know, icing on a cake, but at the end of it all, the reason, like, that, me performing on a stage, me just kind of singing and playing and getting into my own head, it's the one, like, pure thing that I'm doing right now. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like, it's the truth when you're up there. That's
Right.
why I'm doing this.
Right.
And the whole thing is that's a little sacred spot, and you can't let that kind of stuff kind of seep in and start being like, oh, well, if Rolling Stone said I was good, I wonder if, you know, that stuff just makes me giggle,
Right.
you know.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it just makes me giggle. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't affect who I am as a performer.
Right. You
But
sound
that comes from the inside, for me.
you sound very mature and very mindful of the fact that music is like a haven for you.
I just, you know, I can't forget it. I know, I feel lucky because I know, I mean, there's been a lot of performers that don't necessarily have their own voice through their art. I think it's really easy for that to happen to people that are trying to get into the entertainment industry, quote unquote. And, you know, then in that case, I mean, I wouldn't be able to survive. I certainly wouldn't be able to survive if I wasn't able to have my own voice through my art and write my songs and get up there and just and touch the keys myself. So in that sense, I mean, I appreciate it.
Right. Probably more than the average musician would.
Absolutely, because it really does get me through.
That's the thing that you feel like you.
Yeah.
Like you are. Now, how do you find your voice? I mean, how have you? I mean, it's to me, I would think it's a process.
You know, I'm imagining that it is a process. I'm the type of person that, I don't know, especially with music, it's kind of I just feel like I'm not in the driver's seat necessarily. I think that there's something going on when I sit at a piano and I am like, my hands just kind of go and do something, and I can't overthink it, and I can't overthink it after the fact, like, oh, how did I do that? And,
Right.
And I don't know, it's a little bit scary to me in that way, and at the same time, I think that's what makes it's like a direct link to like my subconscious or something.
Mm-hmm.
Something is going on that I don't understand, and I'm not going to question it.
Right.
I'm not going to try to analyze it.
No, you can't.
I just feel lucky that I have it.
You're going basically with, your internal flow.
Yeah, and it's so hard, I think, to get to that comfort level where you'll just let yourself go like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm so excited about actually releasing something that people can go, like, someone can go and pick up at a store and maybe and see someone else that's just completely let go. Because I wish I had that when I was, when you go through your difficult times.
Right.
It's
Did you ever have this feeling, though, when you were dancing? I mean, it's equivalent to when you were dancing?
I did.
Yeah.
I absolutely did. And what was so scary, though, and what at the same time I think, it did shape who I am now today, but I lost it. I lost it, and I think there's nothing worse in the world than it's almost like, don't even show it to me. Don't even show me the amazing dress if you're not going to let me buy it. And that's kind of what happened with the dance. And I did. I lost that connection to it, that art that I had. I lost. And it was only temporary, but it was enough to really shake me up. And, it was a scary time, because the basic thing was that I was really young, and if you're always look to yourself as an artist and you suddenly lose the art in what you're doing, it's like it's scary as hell.
It's a connection, it's like all of a sudden you feel like disconnected.
Yeah, I was just going through the motions.
Yeah. And now, I was reading in your material that you went through a sort of a depression.
Absolutely.
That led you to investigate music as that was your outlet.
It did. I mean, the thing is that music has always been a part of my life, but the events that like the way I had to get through dance, the way I had to make this transition into just not even just career-wise into music, but the transition into becoming a stronger girl and figuring myself out. I turned to the music. I turned to the piano more intensely in terms of just writing, and it helped me kind of get to that place within myself as a girl, just to grow up.
Right.
I mean, aside from the refuge emotionally and me being able to, yell and speak or whisper, it helped me grow up.
Right. The piano, I guess, has always been your friend in that sense, then.
Always. And it's nice because what makes me sad is that a lot of kids, when they're starting to play when they're young, they have like these bitty old piano teachers that, they're slapping hands with rulers, and you'll never look at an instrument or anything, per se. I mean, for that matter, with you never look at it as a refuge.
Right.
It's a chore.
Right, and that's what makes them stop a lot of times.
But not only that, I mean, my mom, she taught me how to play. And when I sat down at the piano, it was always like playtime. Always playtime.
Yeah, you looked forward to it.
Never, if it was work, it was like play work. And that's what I'm.
And you have to thank your mother for that, because she made it fun for you. And that's, I think, a lot of people, a lot of instructors don't do that.
I mean, I think it is the hardest thing in the world is to teach an artist and to teach kids at the same time.
Oh yeah.
Kids that are artistic. It's such a delicate thing.
It is.
Most of the time, I think it's really screwed up, and that's what happened with me to dance, like in my dance-wise. I mean, I was working with teachers that didn't understand and didn't nurture, and I wasn't strong enough to kind of fix things on my own. So there's so many young artists that slip through the cracks and never find their voices again.
That's so true. And I admire the fact that you spoke about, the fact you admit it. You say, I was depressed. A lot of people, I think, and musicians can be more inclined to feel that sense of depression if they're not pursuing their art and not following the calling of their soul.
It is incredibly traumatic, and some people deal. I mean, everyone deals with it differently, but it's the worst thing in the world.
Yeah. How old are you? You're about 21. You're 21 now, but when you went to the depressed part?
I was, like a senior in high school.
Yeah, senior in high school.
17.
And it's hard, because, you're dealing with the pressures of the world. A lot of times, kids that age might not see that there's, something else that can be done. I mean, our society, unfortunately, tends to have a knack for, when somebody's depressed, let's put them on drugs, the Prozac society.
Right.
Which is okay. It works for some people. But I think we also have to look into other healing parts, like music has been for you. I mean, I think that's what it sounds like from what I...
That's why, again, it's funny, I call it going public. It's so like going public. But if it can be, I feel like if there were more tools out there for people, like, yeah, the music is coming back around. I feel like there's, like, I go into a record store and I'm sometimes like, I get, it's like a breath of fresh air. Like, oh, this stuff is cool.
Yeah.
Like, this stuff is coming out now. Like, wow. And in that, it's like that we needed that for I think we just needed it for so long.
Yeah.
And it helps people through. Music is so powerful.
It is.
So powerful.
It's incredibly powerful.
So if I can help, if there is a way that I can make one person kind of look at themselves in a way that's like, if she can do this, if she can find a voice all her own and just kind of, I don't know, just be true to your skin and true to your mind in some way, which is really hard to do, but I'm working on it every day. If that's one person like notices or just like, oh, cool, then it's worth it. It's worth going public.
That's true. Now, how is it challenging to do this with a record company?
Incredibly challenging, and it was a very difficult road, and it wasn't. People are like, oh, she made a video and then she did a record. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that went on. There's a lot of politics, and I've been signed since I was 18, and when I was signed, my music wasn't what was playing on the radio. I mean, we were in the heat of a pop attack, and it was great because my label's always stood by my side, but there's always it's like this huge machine, and there's always going to be people in the machine that it's like they don't get it, and it's because it's like an entertainment industry, music industry don't go together. Two words don't go together. So you're going to run into problems. I do every day, but at the end of the day, I know that my label, now I can actually say it so generally, but my label does, they trust me enough to follow my lead, and that is huge because I'm essentially an investment to them.
Right.
But
that's right.
Not only that, they appreciate the music and they respect it, and they don't just look at it as like, oh, let's try to suck at as much money as we can out of this. It's really, it's great in that way. But it's been difficult to get to this point.
Yeah, I mean, I hear so much negativity about artists who are trying to get a label and how much I mean, you even say this about music, how they chew you up and they spit you out, and that seems to be like the stereotype of the music industry as well.
I mean, it's the thing about it is. It was why I'm so happy that I was training to be a ballet dancer. It's not as difficult as the ballet world. It's pretty close, but it is. You have to every day. You have to look. You have to be like, okay, no, I'm not. I know who I am. I know what I want to do. I need to fuck it, just go for like you need to just go in there. You gotta march in there and just kind of tell them who you are. I mean, it's your album.
Right.
It's
That's
your
right.
voice, and just because there's now, investing going on, that makes it all the more important for it to still be complete 100% purely yours.
Right.
Or else, why bother? Like that's what the industry. I think a lot of times then the companies don't understand. Why don't put money into something that your artist doesn't even? It's just it's very complicated.
It is. It's a
And then once you have a rhythm and once you've proven yourself, everything gets easier.
Thank God.
I hope.
Yeah, you hope, right. Now you have a manager. You've had a manager from day one?
No, I didn't have a manager for a while.
Oh, okay.
It was really difficult.
Without a manager?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was working with men, and if when you don't have a warrior there for you, standing by your side, it's everyone wants a piece. It's so funny.
Right. They want a piece of.
I mean, there's just even people that are in managing positions with me. Would just be working with people, on the album or at the label, and if you don't have a manager, that's tough.
It's crazy. When did you actually get one?
I got one in '99.
In '99. Okay. How were you able to hook up with this person?
He came to my show. He came to me, and he's incredibly honest.
Yeah, that's key. What's his name?
Peter Malkin.
Okay. That's
really bright.
Yeah.
And
so you were able to trust in him.
Yeah, I trust him, and more importantly, he trusts me. I mean, he trusts my instincts. And I needed someone who was going to do that.
Right. Who would say, you're right. That's.
I mean, he's definitely not a yes man. But he trusts my instincts.
Good. Now, how did you actually? I mean, I know that your parents were very instrumental. It seems your father took you some open mics, and you did the circuit in New York City. That must have been a fun experience.
That was. It's so funny because it's like there's so many different. You realize there's like these little different worlds within the music world.
Yeah.
That's like the first planet that you get to.
The underground planet.
Really hot, and it's hard to stay on it because it's like you're just very uncomfortable at all times. But it was really it's a testament to your tenacity for sure.
Right.
And your just your confidence also. I mean, it's rough.
Yeah, you did.
Sometimes you're playing to two people at a bar.
Right.
That are yelling at you to get off stage.
Right. No respect. You get no respect.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like the little obstacle course.
Right.
But you get through. The reason why I got through it is because I love to play.
Yeah.
And I love.
Would you bring a keyboard with you? How did you do it?
I would play on piano.
On piano. Okay. Cool. So you'd have to find
pianos as much as I can.
Yeah. You'd have to find places that had pianos.
Always play the piano. And lately on shows, like I'll be doing keyboards, but only because of like technical reasons. But. Yeah, it was definitely a little adventure. I mean, I don't think it never ends.
Yeah,
but that was definitely a very colorful part of the story.
That's great. That's good. So it makes it interesting, So you finally went to, now you decided to showcase, and that's how you got signed with Interscope?
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds really simple, but
It was not very simple.
Okay.
And I was working on a demo for a long. My original demo, I had. It was like a 4-track recording of 3 songs that I had done in my living room.
With your dog?
With my dog barking. And then I kind of upgraded to working in a studio because someone kind of found me and was like, let's make a better demo. And I was like, okay, so I didn't want to send that. I was willing to send the 4-track out to people, but it was a good thing that I didn't because it was so young, and I think it was very malleable at that point, and I needed time.
Right.
I needed time because I think a lot of times the record companies can be a little premature with jumping on artists. But so I got into the studio, another studio, made a demo, a little fancier, a little cleaner sounding.
4 songs. As well. The same 4 songs.
And then started passing around the industry and kind of get yourself a little team going, and they all came together for me because they believed in me, and And
What do you mean by...
again, that took a long time too.
Right. What do you mean by team going?
Entertainment lawyer.
Yeah.
And booking agent. And
right.
slowly but surely, you kind of attract the people that get you, and then one thing leads to another. But it definitely doesn't happen overnight.
Right. No, it doesn't. It's time, and it's work. It's work as well. You got to do the footwork. Yeah, you got to do that footwork.
For sure.
And were you nervous about signing with a label? I mean, about doing the right thing?
I didn't realize until after I signed just how difficult it is. I mean, getting signed to a label, I think, is the least of it. That's so easy.
Yeah.
Compared to once you're there, kind of getting people to take notice, because it's these are corporations, and they're looking for the investment that will pay them all. I mean, pay off the most.
How do you get them
I'm
to
sorry to say, but that's every label, no matter how artsy-fartsy they are.
Yeah. Well, how do you get them to take notice of you?
What happened was, I mean, I felt close. I mean, I didn't talk to Jimmy that often.
Mm-hmm.
I did always feel comfortable knowing he was there, because I knew he's an artist, and he's a producer himself.
Right.
I knew that he was a fan, and I knew that I was going to, even if I needed time, I needed another year or two before things got together for me there. I knew that he kind of understood it.
Right.
He understood it, and then I found Ron Fair, or rather, he found me, and he understood it too. And then it's slowly but surely, you gathered this warrior team for you,
right?
And they're like, yep, I understand, I understand, and it's like, it's really cool, because it definitely takes some of the, I would do it on my own if I had to, but it makes it easier.
Yeah.
It makes it easier on me.
Absolutely.
To focus more on
your music and creating.
On just kind of like saving my sanity.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Now, going into the studio, what was that experience like for you? I mean,
I love it.
You loved it? Where did you record?
I recorded actually at Henson Studios. We did basic tracks, and then the rest of it I recorded in my record company, because they have a studio.
Oh, how nice.
And at first I was like, oh no, this is going to be interesting. And then actually it was pretty awesome.
That's great.
To just walk outside the door and see all the people like buzzing around, working their asses off for me, and you don't see that often. And it's like, oh, okay, this is. It made me giggle. It's the same reason why I giggle when Rolling Stone does a quote.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, okay. So you were able to go into the studio. Now, I know it took you over a year. Is it because the songs weren't done, or it was just like time? You went in there?
Right. It wasn't. I hadn't found my. It took me a while to figure out how to work in a studio. It took me a while to figure out that to make a record of a song, I write, it's just me and the piano. I've never done a record with other musicians and completed the sound in that way. So I had to kind of go on a crash course, and I stumbled a couple times, but eventually I kind of learned how to make a great record, or at least I hope people think so.
Oh, I think it is great. What do you think is key to that? I mean, that's a big general question, but
first of all, it's finding someone to work for me. Being my first record, I had to find someone, a producer that completely understood where these songs, like musically, what these songs were. They're not, like, because it's so funny, because in particular with my songs, I think it's really easy to make them sound generic when you produce them.
Okay.
Because they're so colorful by themselves, and you have to always, then when you're producing, everything has to completely evolve around what I'm doing on the piano.
Right.
And you have to, at the same time though, it has to be all the parts have to be written just as carefully and just as, just with just as much artistic intent as the piano. So it's like these. It's very confusing, but I mean, like the guitar, you can't just slap a guitar part on the song because we need some rhythm in there. I mean, it has to be the approach has to be just as careful as it is to write the song. So, I found that in Ron Fair.
Right.
I found that attention to detail, and that he just gets it.
He gets it, and you needed that.
He gets it.
And it's good that you didn't
write.
write.
Time he lets me do what I want.
Right. It's good that you
arranged it with him,
Good.
and I'm an executive producer on the album,
And that's great.
it's
And the songs, now, you wrote them as you went along. I mean, how was that a challenge for you, having to come up with material? Because I know in the showcase, when you got signed, you only had 4 songs. Now.
I mean, no. By the time I was ready to sit down and really make the record, I had all my songs written, and I also have I have lots more too.
Yeah. Did you have? What were you? When it comes to writing songs, you influenced by your piano? Are you influenced by what you hear?
I'm influenced. It's hard. I mean, everything that goes in my ears, I think, affects the way I write in some way. But I think it was really, my influence was really formulated when I was younger. For sure, classical music, considering I learned my instrument through playing that type of music. And then a mixture of great rock bands.
Yeah, I was reading Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd
and so then you kind of learn a song structure.
Yeah.
Because the rock song structure is far different from the classical structure.
Oh, absolutely.
And then you kind of, what happened to me, I would just kind of sit at the piano and they would melt together. And I just love to hear, I love melodies that are just like ear candy. And very melodically inspired. I mean, it's a huge thing for me on the piano is to just, the piano part alone could hopefully make the statement that needs to be, that I'm sitting there to express, just in a couple notes on the piano. Like, I just love that. I love it when you come up with a melody and you're like, oh, I get the song, So,
what usually happens first? What happened first? Would you come up?
I finally figured out my process because people ask me all the time, and for a while I was just I'm so not in touch. I'm so like cerebrally not in touch with this.
Yeah.
It's not in my brain at all. It's not in there.
You just do it.
And then I had to think about it. I was like, wait, Vanessa, how the fuck do you write a song? Let's think this. And I was like, okay, yeah. I sit at the piano. And I start to just like doodle on the keys, and then I find something that hooks me in, and I start kind of elaborating on it, and then I get further and further and further, and then I start humming over it, and it's all about the melodies, and then it's just kind of ends up being stream of consciousness lyrics, and by the time I get up from the piano, I got a song.
Yeah, which is great.
It's very magic. It's amazing. It's magical.
It is magical. And it's an ongoing process.
Oh, for sure.
Now I know that I mean, I'm reading all these articles on you, and everybody brings up the Tori Amos and all this. And I'm saying, you know what? Fine. Everybody describes your music. Yeah. Now, how would you describe your music?
It's funny. They do it, and it makes people feel more comfortable.
I guess to know that they can,
There's a comfort level. But what's really funny is that my album, it's like the album's not even out yet. I mean, I guess you could. There's a sound. 1,000 Miles is definitely my sound.
Right.
In a lot of distinct ways. But the album is not out. The whole thing isn't out. It's a body of work. But the way I look at my, my sound. Okay, let's see. What is my sound? For someone that just likes to sit at the piano and come up with stuff that I think makes me shiver.
Right.
It's so hard to say, oh, so what is that now?
Yeah.
Again, it's so non-cerebral for me. And,
right.
And I mean, I don't know. I guess you could.
It's undescribable. That's all.
Throw in, the classical. Meanwhile, this is so the easy way out of this question. But
thanks.
You can throw in the classical stuff. You throw in
the pop.
Some of the pop. And
the rock.
And the classic melodic rock that I love, and Pink Floyd, and it's just, I don't know.
It's the melting pot. It's the melting pot of music. Yeah, it works. like you said, sometimes you just can't question it. What about advice? I know because we have a few minutes. What advice do you have for people who are, oh God, they're enthusiastic about their music, they want to get out there, they want to be, another Vanessa Carlton. What should they do? In a nutshell.
Run the other way. No.
Right.
God, it is more. However difficult you think it is, it's 10 times more. And however incredible you think it is, it's 10 times more.
Yeah.
It is a roller coaster, and it is at the same time. It's definitely a test to. Like, this is the thing. There's parts of it where, like, okay, so people are now behind me. People are behind this music. People want me to keep writing. People are rooting for me. At the same time, there's all these elements to that. It's like, oh, now it's like, oh, there's media involved, and now there's people, that everyone now kind of wants a little part of you, a little piece of you, that's not necessarily musical. And like in that sense, you have to never lose your core. It's like you came and you're succeeding because hopefully you have a very strong vision of yourself and a strong message that is just kind of leaking out of you, and you can't stop it,
Right.
And it's that core which kind of like once you lose when the first question you asked me, does that affect you when you go on stage, this tension or this
the pressure
when
to
you
perform.
lose that, you lost everything, because this is all happening because of one thing, which is just pure expression.
Right.
And I would say it's all about. I would say it's you always have to know how to maintain why you're here in the first place. How did you get to this point, and why are you here? You're here because you like to get the shivers when you play piano.
Right.
And you need to it's like self-preserving. It becomes a self-preservation quest, because then you have to just constantly make sure that you're in that place at all times.
Right. What has been the hardest aspect of this business so far for you?
Getting people to. It's funny. You want to say getting people to trust me, but it's really getting. It's like most people are so insecure in terms of, if you're not in the art process, if you're not the one writing songs and you're the one sitting at the desk, it's like getting them to trust themselves almost, and it's hard to get your way. It is. It's definitely hard to get your way.
It is.
But it's not that hard. I mean, if you really want it, you can get it.
That's true. What do your parents think about all this?
They're really proud. They are really, truly proud. They've been so supportive of everything I've been into since I was like 5 years old.
That's nice. That's nice.
For them to see me, for them to see it all come together, for me, I think they're giggling too.
Yeah, they must be. Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a younger sister and a younger brother. They keep me in line for sure.
Musically inclined too?
Both, absolutely.
Really? Oh, that's great. So maybe we'll see more Carltons.
Yeah, well, it's funny. My sister and brother. I mean, my brother's kind of similar to me in that he likes to be the center of attention for sure. But I'm a Leo. What can I say?
Leos are great.
my sister. I mean, they don't like it. They don't like the whole showbiz thing.
Right.
And it's cool.
Right.
It's cool because you go home and they're like, they don't care.
They don't care. Right. They keep you grounded.
So what show were you on?
Right.
I mean, they saw it. They're like, yeah, Vanessa, that was so cool. You played well, but how the hell? Why did you wear your hair like that? It's like they don't. They don't care.
Right.
About
And can I borrow that shirt that
exactly.
you're wearing?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Those are cool shoes.
Yeah.
Can I wear them for prom?
It's so true, and it's good that it's that way, actually.
I know. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Exactly. Now, one last thing I want to ask is when are you going to be playing in New York? What's the deal with that? Are you going to be
funny. I mean, things are booked every day. I'm basically skipping around the country right now doing radio shows.
Right.
And then I'm going to really get on a heavy touring schedule in the summer.
Okay.
End of May.
And who are you touring with? What musicians?
I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. I'm keeping my eyes open.
Good.
And looking for something that will really make sense. And a a tour that I will really learn a lot
Right.
from. So I'm working.
Good. And your album, when is the final release date? I know it's supposed to be released in April.
It's April 30th.
April 30th. Very good. So
April 30th. I'm
be
counting
perfect.
down the days.
Well, I'm looking forward to listening to the whole thing.
Oh, thanks so much.
And thanks so much for spending time speaking with me. And I hope to meet you one day in person.
Absolutely.
And,
Thank you.
and I'll send you a copy of this article.
Oh, great.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, take it easy.